too about life. At only 17 years of age, she is a senior at Stoneman Douglas High School. She has become a leader following the tragedy that occurred there and has already spoken to crowds of over 55,000 people in LA. She is one brave, resilient, and sweet young woman, and we are honored to have her with us today to deliver our 2018 In My Shoes keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mia Freeman.
Thank you, Sarah, and good afternoon, everyone. It is truly my honor to be here today. As Sarah said, as a senior at Stoneman Douglas High School, I spoke at the LA March for Our Lives rally to over 55,000 people on behalf of my 17 friends and teachers who can no longer speak for themselves. So, by comparison, today should feel much more comfortable since there are only 800 guests and I'm surrounded by my JAFCO family, but yet I'm more nervous than I was at the rally. I guess it may be because the tragedy was almost surreal, and what I'm about to share with you right now is very real. After watching the video about my brother Ethan, you might be wondering what my life was like while my parents were focused on all of his money needs. I've never shared this with anyone before today, and to be honest, I didn't really know how to even start to tell my story. My mom and dad are both here today. They are awesome and they gave me full permission to say anything I wanted. So Mom and Dad, I decided to write you a letter. Once again, I have the opportunity to speak on behalf of those who may not yet have a voice. And today I speak for all of the typical siblings of children with developmental disabilities. Children like Isaiah, who is already so far ahead of where I was at his age. Being able to express how lonely it can be living in a family where everyone is focused on your sibling and rarely, if ever, on you. Isaiah, I'm so very impressed with you. Okay, Mom and Dad, are you ready? Dear Mom and Dad, this letter is not intended to make you feel badly or guilty or anything, other than just me sharing a little bit about my feelings. It's just totally about me. Me without Ethan. Me without both of you stressed over Ethan or life or who was going to take care of him today, tonight, tomorrow, and who didn't take care of him yesterday or last week. This letter is all about me as a little girl who has to do her own homework or get her own snacks, but then I would watch you do those same things for Ethan, and I hated that. It's about letting you know that I was scared of Ethan when he had his meltdowns. Mom, I was scared the time that he was hitting me while we were driving, and the time that he pushed me into the counter and I had staples in my head. I was scared when we were in the pool, and he would sometimes hold me under the water until I could barely breathe. I hated it. I hated it all, and I hated him. I hated when we couldn't go out because Ethan was in a bad mood, or when we had to come back from a family outing because Ethan wasn't managing. There never seemed to be a backup plan to leave him home and to take me out alone. It was always, always, always about him. I hated to hear you both fighting about Ethan and accusing each other of not doing a good enough job parenting him when you both were doing your best. It was hard, and it still is hard for me to hear you say that I wasn't responsible for parenting him, but many times, even today, when you both have had enough, I'm the one who has to step in. I make his breakfast or lunch, or I even drive him to school. And I'm happy to do it, and it makes me feel good to help, so it would have been better to ask me for my help and thank me for helping back when I was 5, and even today. I want to help, and guess what? You actually need my help. And just for the record, I happen to be really good at taking care of my brother. But do you want to know the hardest part of growing up with a sibling who has a disability? This may surprise you, but the hardest part is knowing that there are people in my own extended family who I love dearly, but who do not want Ethan at any family gatherings or parties. There were so many family events that we didn't get invited to because people didn't want to take a chance that we might bring Ethan with us. I can't decide if that's worse, or when they only invite me to leave him out. He's my only brother. All my cousins are there at the party with their siblings, but I always am there alone. And we all pretend that Ethan doesn't exist sometimes, but that's not okay. Mom and Dad, I didn't really share my feelings with you before because I watched you every day, and I saw that you both already had so much pain of your own. I watched it on days when no one knew I was watching or even noticed that I was in the room. But there was a lot of pain and suffering in our family, and there still is. But since I'm older now, and I totally get that the pain is unavoidable since it's part of raising a child with a disability, I'm so deeply sorry that you had to go through all of that, but I know how much you love Ethan and how much you love me, and I love you both very much. That felt so good. You should all try that. So far, I've only shared with you the times that Ethan is difficult, annoying, and aggressive. And yes, those times are still frequent and unpredictable and intense, even though he's 19. But then there's the happy Ethan. The Ethan who laughs and talks endlessly. The Ethan who makes me laugh every day. The Ethan who is so happy that the only way he can express his happiness is to literally jump for joy. And boy, can he jump. As you may know, autism is a spectrum disorder, and despite his behavioral difficulties, Ethan is on the higher end as he is pretty smart. That's sometimes a blessing and a curse. He can read and he understands more than we probably give him credit for. So he does see the party invitations lying on the kitchen counter that don't have his name on it, and he always asks me why he's not invited. I don't know what to say to him, so I usually just try to change the subject. Ethan loves parties and gets such great pleasure out of the little things in life. He loves to dance too, and recently he learned how to do the Kiki challenge. Does everyone know what that is?
Are you going to show us?
Yeah. The Kiki challenge is one of those crazy and actually slightly dangerous social media things where you get out of your car while it's still moving a little bit and you start dancing on the street. To all the parents in the room, I'm sorry to tell you this, but if you have a teenager with a car, they're all doing it. I had no idea Ethan knew what it was, but the other day while we were driving, he did the dance, and he was so adorable I couldn't stop laughing. So the video is a little shaky, so let's see if you can take a look. Does make me laugh a lot. On a very serious note, when his autism doesn't take over his body with frustration and rage, my brother is the sweetest, happiest boy in the world who I love with all my heart, and also with all my soul. When the Ability Center opened in 2014, Ethan was already 15, but JAFCO helped my family so much. My parents' relationship would not have gotten better without going to counseling with Linda Sachs at JAFCO. I honestly believed that I was the only typical sibling that felt lonely and neglected as a child, but I got to go to the Ability Center too and meet other typical siblings in a program called Sib Shops, where I was shocked that everyone knew how I felt. It's awesome, right, Isaiah? And for several years, Ethan went to the Ability Center camp, to life skills, social skills, and to respite. And when it was time for Ethan to move into a group home, JAFCO was right there to help. I truly believe that if the Ability Center had been around when Ethan and I were little, my childhood would have been very different, as he could have gone there for an evening, on the weekend, or for a week or two, allowing me to have just a little bit of alone time I needed with my parents. But I am so happy that the Ability Center is there now for other families. For the parents in the room who have a child with a disability, please take time for yourself or go out with your friends. Use the center or other resources to spend quality time with your typical children. They may not say anything, but I can assure you that they are desperate for your undivided attention and love. And trust me, whether you can admit it or not, you need a break. You are exhausted and you are lonely too. You need to sleep and spend time alone with your spouse or significant other, and maybe you can save your relationship or marriage. And just remember, there is no shame in admitting how crazy it gets some days in our home. JAFCO knows what our lives are like. They're all therapists and social workers, and they've heard it all. The violence, the toileting accidents, and the chaos. So please don't let the shame stop you from asking for help. But Mom and Dad, while my childhood has not been easy, I would not trade any of it, and I would not trade either of you. or my amazing brother Ethan. It is because of our family and my incredible brothers that I have learned so much and I am the person that I am today. He gave me strength, patience, and my ability to never judge others. He taught me to have a compassion for others, and as a result, at only 17, I have a deep love for philanthropy, whether I'm helping JAFCO, Best Buddies, Sensibility, or any charity that represents those who need a voice. When the tragedy happened at Stoneman Douglas, the next day, most of my friends could not move or even get out of bed. I was devastated too, but I was not in bed. Because of Ethan and how you've raised me, I have learned to cope with my adversity by helping others. Mom and Dad, I just needed you to hear one time how I felt, and now I'm good. I don't know too many parents who would allow their 17-year-old child to get up in front of 800 people and say whatever she needed to say without approving it ahead of time. You are amazing parents, and I thank you both for loving me and for doing your absolute best each and every day and for sacrificing so much of your own lives for Ethan and for me. Between the two of us, I realized there was zero time you had for yourselves. Hopefully now that Ethan is happy in a group home placement, you can each have some time for yourselves and we can have that quality time together. I might be the only teenager in the world that still wants to spend time with both of her parents. Going out all together would be nice once in a while like we used to, but even apart would be great too. Now that Ethan is settled, it's a dream of mine that can finally come true. In closing, I want to share that, until this moment, I never truly realized how much gratitude I owe to JAFCO. I hope my story touches the other families in this room who are still alone in their journey of raising a child with a disability. We have the only ability center in the entire community, the entire country right here in our community. So there is no reason to do it alone. Just look around this room. You are definitely not alone. And thank you all for allowing me to share my story with you today.